Hi everyone, welcome back to my weekly meal plan podcast episode. If you're new here, each week I share with you what is on my family's meal plan for the upcoming week. I also have a blog post where I share any links to recipes that I might mention in the episode. This is just for dinners. I do rotate my meals frequently, so you're not always going to find new recipes here, but I do add in some new things here and there. I do want to share, I know I'm always asking for ratings and reviews, and I really thank you, anyone who has taken the time to do that. But I recently got a new review on iTunes, and I thought I would share it with you just because it specifically mentioned the meal plans, and I just thought it was really nice, and I wanted to just read it real quick. The person who left it said their name is Snowboard 911. And it says, very enjoyable and relatable. It says, I feel bad about listening for months and never left a review, which is not necessary. No one needs to feel bad about not leaving a review, but I do thank you so much for taking the time to do this, whoever you are out there that left this review. She continues to say, I stumbled on this podcast when looking for new listening material for my 5:30 a.m. commute to work. I don't want anything intense that early in the morning, and this fit the bill. The recipes on the meal plan are realistic, and I find at least one good idea each episode. Even when I'm healthy-ish eating, I can easily sub an ingredient. The weekly regular podcast is informative and very relatable from a hectic working mom perspective. At least once an episode, I think, oh, good call, or yes, totally. Keep up the good work. P.S. I have a ton of ground beef in my deep freezer from half a cow. Any chance you can do some extra ground beef recipes? So that was the review. One thing that made me laugh is that I'm saying she. I'm just assuming this is a woman who left this, but it could be, I don't know. It could be anyone. But I just thought it was funny that she said, even when I'm eating healthy-ish, I can easily sub an ingredient. And I was like, hey, I thought my recipes were kind of healthy-ish. I know I'm not like totally focused on like super healthy meals, but I thought I was mostly kind of healthy-ish type food. So that just kind of made me laugh when I read that part, that they mentioned that if they're eating healthy-ish, they can just substitute out some things, which I get what they meant, but it just kind of made me laugh when I read that part. And as far as her question, if I have any extra ground beef recipes, it was funny because the day I was reading this, which was yesterday, was the day I was making chili in the crock pot. So I wound up really liking that recipe, and I wound up making it with baked potatoes, and then I did like the baked potato with chili and cheese and sour cream on top. I guess that's not one of the healthy-ish meals, but definitely that was really good. And I don't really think I make that many ground beef recipes that I can think of to share with this person who was looking for extra ground beef recipes. I know I make beef and peas, which I really like. It's like ground beef and peas, and then you serve it like over rice. I do hamburgers a lot, obviously, but I'm sure that that's obvious. And then the chili, and Salisbury steaks, slow cooker Salisbury steaks. Those are really good. And I made those for Christmas Eve for like to go visit family, and everybody was going on about how great they were, and they're so easy to make. So that's all I can really think of right now to answer your question as far as some extra ground beef recipes. But anyway, I really appreciate the review, and let's move on to this week's meal plan. So this week's meal plan starts on Saturday, January 7th. For Saturday, I am making Jenny-O's Best Ever Meatloaf, which is from jennyos.com. This is just the turkey meatloaf that I've always made as my kids were growing up, and it's pretty easy. It's made with ground turkey, and then it's just like, the typical like breadcrumbs, egg, ketchup, all that kind of stuff. And then for sides, I'm going to be doing shells and cheese. I usually just get like a box of the like Velveeta type shells and cheese, and then I'm going to be doing roasted rainbow vegetables in the air fryer, which is from allrecipes.com, which is pretty much just like pepper, squash, zucchini, mushrooms, and onion cut up, tossed with a little bit of olive oil, and then cooked in the air fryer. So that's for Saturday. For Sunday, I am doing vegetarian tater tot casserole and pork chops. I just made pork chops recently, but I realized I accidentally bought too many of the same kind, and I don't want to forget that I have them. So I'm doing the pork chops. Sorry, I just lost my space here. I just lost my place here with the recipe I was working, that I was just about to tell you that I was going to make. Oh my gosh, I can't believe this just happened. Oh, here it is. Creamy herbed pork chops. I just made those like maybe even last week, but I had bought 2 packages of them because I wasn't sure if the package was going to be big enough, because I did like a grocery pickup, and sometimes like the weight isn't exactly like what you want depending on how the sizes run. So I bought 2 packages, and they're the bone-in ones that I usually use this recipe for. So I like to kind of use things up so that they don't wind up sitting in the freezer. So I'm going to be doing the creamy herbed pork chops recipe, which is from allrecipes.com. And like I've said before, I don't actually make the creamy part. I just do the beginning part and just cook up the pork chops in a frying pan with the butter and the McCormick steak seasoning, and I think they come out really good. And then as a side, I'm going to be doing vegetarian tater tot casserole, which is from allrecipes.com. That is just like tater tots, and I guess this is another one of my healthy, non-healthy recipes. Now I'm going to be thinking every time I read a recipe and that's totally not healthy, which is definitely some of them, I'm going to be constantly thinking about that review. But anyway, it was just, like I said, I just thought it was funny. I just found it funny. Because now I just kind of think like, oh yeah, I guess I am a little bit lenient on the healthy type stuff. But anyway, so vegetarian tater tot casserole, which is from allrecipes.com. And this is, you basically just take tater tots, put them in a dish, mix together sour cream, cheddar cheese, and cream of mushroom soup, pour it over the top, and then bake it in the oven. And that will go really good with the pork chops. And then Monday is our hot dog night, which we do once a month. And for that, I just boil up some hot dogs. I do air fried potatoes, like potatoes, peppers, and onions that we put on the hot dog and make like Italian style hot dogs. And then I'm doing canned chili with that, although I might wind up not doing canned chili because I just made chili, as I had mentioned yesterday, and I have a ton left over that I'm going to freeze in portions, so I might wind up just taking out a portion of that and serving it with the hot dogs. Okay, finally for a healthy meal on Tuesday, we do some type of Mexican theme meal every Tuesday, and this week is my favorite. We're doing Chipotle night, so pretty much what I do is take chicken breast and season it with some chili powder and seasoned salt and a little olive oil and broil it under the broiler. And then we serve it with brown rice and avocado and salsa and some shredded cheese and sour cream and black beans and all that kind of stuff, and everyone can make like their own Chipotle style bowl for dinner. So that is for Tuesday. For Wednesday, we're doing bacon wrapped barbecue shrimp from allrecipes.com. I just take the bacon, cut it up in pieces, and layer it over top of the shrimp rather than actually wrap the shrimp. It just makes it much quicker and easier to prepare. And then for a side dish, I'm going to be doing easy fried rice, which is from SeriousEats.com. And this is just, you know, like a typical fried rice with vegetables to go on the side with the shrimp. For Thursday, we always either do breakfast for dinner or soup and grilled cheese. This week I'm going to be doing easy clam chowder, which is from damndelicious.net. I did make this kind of recently, and I don't actually do grilled cheese when I do this soup because it's pretty filling on its own, and we eat it with those oyster crackers. But this is one of my husband's favorite soups, and he asked to have it again, so we are having that for this Thursday. And then for Friday, I am doing easy rice bake casserole. Something went wrong with my meal plan here because I don't know, like I feel like it's crashing lately. Because one of the things that I remember what I was making, I'm going to be doing chicken cutlets with the easy rice bake casserole, but for some reason it's not in my meal plan. I feel like my app has been like kind of crashing lately, where I put something in and then it just kind of closes and then I'll realize it didn't actually put it in. But anyway, I'm going to be doing chicken cutlets. So I don't have a recipe to share for that, and I don't make these too often, but my kids really like when I make these. So pretty much all I do is I just take chicken and I cut it in thin, like I cut it thinly, slice it thinly, and then I dip it in egg and breadcrumb and fry it in a frying pan. And then as a side, I'm going to be doing easy rice baked casserole, which is from foodnetwork.com. This is a casserole dish that's made with rice and spinach and cheese and egg and milk, and you bake it in the oven, and we really like it, and it's got the rice and the vegetables and everything all together. So I'm just going to be doing that and the chicken cutlets. So that's it for this week's meal plan. I hope this was helpful to you. Like I said, it's really just to maybe help, or I don't even know if I did say, I might not have even remembered to say this at the beginning, but the reason I do this is because I just think it's really helpful to me to meal plan, so I feel like it must be helpful for some of you, and I'm hoping that this podcast episode might give you some ideas or even just motivate you to get your meal plan together. So that's it for this week. Thank you so much for being here, and I will see you here next week. So thank you for checking in for this podcast episode, and don't forget, you can always email me with any questions or suggestions at lolasfrugallife@gmail.com. You can follow me on Instagram and Facebook at lolasfrugallife, and you can find a blog post for most of my episodes and definitely all of my meal plan episodes at lolasfrugallife.com. You can also join our private listeners group at facebook.com/groups/lolasfrugallife. And if you enjoy the show, please make sure to subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, or wherever you listen from. And I would love it if you would screenshot the show and tag me on Instagram so I could see you're listening. Also, if you can please take a couple of seconds to rate and review the podcast. Those ratings and reviews are what help the show come up better in search results so that other people can find this podcast. So that will really help me in growing my audience. So that's it for today. Thank you so much for listening, and I hope you have an awesome day.